Welcome to Whiskey Mountains. I'm Adriana, and today we're going to be doing a pretty popular one, I think, Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is obviously from the Buffalo Trace distillery, a very well-known distillery, I think, in the bourbon world, and this is kind of one of their flagship products in a way. I mean, from what I understand, for a while they did not have a bourbon named after their own distillery once they became Buffalo Trace after previous names. So now they have this one, Buffalo Trace Bourbon, and it's 90 proof. It's about $28, maybe $25 depending on where you are. And it's not the most readily available. It can be kind of hard to find, or it can come in waves, but you should be able to get your hands on it. So Buffalo Trace is of their mash bill number 1, which is kind of considered their low rye one. It's thought to be probably 10% or lower. And some of the other ones in that mash bill are like Eagle Rare, Stagg Jr., George T. Stagg, E.H. Taylor. So some really popular bourbons are in that mash bill. Now this one is 90 proof, and it's thought that these are at least 8 years old, maybe ranging between 8 to 10. Kind of has a nice sound out here. Now, being a low rye mash bill, kind of my issue is, like, I think this is a great intro bourbon. Like, if you want to introduce somebody to bourbon and they think, you know, that's just too harsh or burns or whatever, they're used to doing shots. I was about to say George T. Stagg, not George T. Stagg. Buffalo Trace is a great one to introduce to. This was one I really enjoyed early on. It's definitely one you could call smooth, okay? So, but and it's definitely on the sweeter side. Being that low rye bourbon, it's on the sweeter side, but it's very yummy. Yeah, on the nose, you're already getting just mainly sweet notes. It's all caramel and honey. Very much. I think this was one of the first ones that I was really able to get any kind of, you know, specific flavors on. Again, why it's a great intro bourbon. Keep it warm. Caramel, honey, but also a little bit of citrus. And that citrus is almost like leading into a bit of oak. Yeah. Those are the main things. All right, I'm going to sip it. It's cold out here and I'm trying to keep it warm, so. Wow, that is sweet. Yeah, that's very sweet. I feel like on the palate, one of the first things I get is vanilla. Wow, it's just so sweet. So it's just all, ooh, just like a really buttery, creamy vanilla and caramel. Just like a very creamy sweetness. Maybe just a touch of citrus. That kind of gives it almost like that little bit of sharpness, and then as you swallow, it has a nice kind of sharpness coming out, just like, not pepper, but just a bit of sharpness, if you can keep it warm enough. That's the hard part. So today, I decided to do the Thane Canyon loop. It's marked as easy. It's not actually that bad. It's just a decent amount of elevation gain. And the thing is, hiking in the snow like this really requires micro spikes. I would hear me sometimes sliding because I almost think it'd be nice to have snowshoes so that you didn't keep sinking into weaker spots of the snow. But it's just so pretty out here. This hike is in Mill Creek Canyon. So this is an area I would recommend if you were to come to Salt Lake and you wanted to go for some hikes, no matter what time of the year. There's a few different hikes. I mean, really, there's plenty of options at Mill Creek Canyon. This is my first time on this trail, but I really like it just because of how secluded it feels, how away from everything it is. Yet, it's only like 20 minutes outside of town. You know, and you're up in the mountains, you're in the canyon. Like, it's just surrounded by trees. It's you keep sinking in this. Okay, I guess it's time to get back to Buffalo Trace. Yeah, it's just such a smooth, sweet bourbon. Like, it truly is one you would describe as smooth. You can easily, like, it actually has a nice finish. You know, I can still kind of feel it lingering on the tongue, which is really nice. It's not like you sip it and it's immediately gone, which is kind of surprising because it just goes down so smoothly. It's just like this buttery caramel vanilla goodness, and it's really nice. It's really enjoyable. It's such an easy sipper. And it's only 90 proof, so obviously it's not like high burn or anything. I don't know that I'd use it in a cocktail. I think it might kind of get lost trying to do that, but it's a nice, easy sipper. And like I said before, it's a great intro bourbon. Doesn't really need much airing out, and it's really cold out here, so I'm just kind of sipping straight away. But there's not much rye, there's not much spice or pepper or leather or tobacco or some of these other things that I think give a nice complexity of flavor. So I think Buffalo Trace is a great bourbon, and I like some of the others in this mash bill. Well, I haven't had that many of the others, but I'd like to get my hands on some of the others. Really no spice. Does have actually a nice finish, like kind of a medium finish. I like the way that this lingers, and that's probably part of why it's so popular. But if you prefer a spicier bourbon, this probably isn't the one for you as far as like just a daily sipper budget bourbon. But if you do like something more on the sweet side, this is a great pick. So I think it's a delicious one. It's just I sort of tend more towards ones with more rye. And that's why I like to always mention the mash bill, because those small percentages can make a difference. You know, we're talking about 10% or less here, and some of the other ones I talk about are 12 to 16% or something, you know, somewhere around there. And yet I feel like there's such a difference in flavor here, even when you're talking about similarly aged whiskeys. So if, like, I like Knob Creek Small Batch. That's a 9-year age stated whiskey with a higher rye mash bill. I think 13% maybe. And I love that one. It's got the leather, it's got the peppery spice, some baked spices, the cinnamon and stuff that I really enjoy, you know, along with sweetness. Whereas this one, you know, that's probably what's more prominent on those, even though it's just a few percentage difference, most likely. But this one is just so much more on that smooth, sweet, creamy, yummy. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. I enjoy it. I actually kind of forgot that I do like it this much. I just gravitate more towards those bit spicier ones, which is funny because I don't like high ryes. So, all right, I'm gonna finish this off and start headed back down. We're at over 7,000 feet on this hike, and it's just so ridiculously pretty. I can't even tell you. The one thing I did want to say was, I don't know if I'd recommend Buffalo Trace though as an outdoor bourbon. This one was cold too, so it might be slightly unfair, but it was just a little bit even more so on the sweet side than I think normally. I feel like normally I'd get at least a little touch of pepper on that finish, but not so much this time. So if you're going camping, maybe check out some of my other videos to find a bourbon you might like more for the outdoors. So, but depends on everybody's palate. If you like a really sweet bourbon, if you feel like that would be a nice sort of dessert treat at the end of a hike, Buffalo Trace might just be a great one for you. So I've already got everything packed up and put away, but thanks for joining me today on Whiskey Mountains. Salud. Sorry I don't have a real glass. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you want. I feel like my mouth and lips are frozen. It's a bit cold up here, clearly. Oh, I swallowed the wrong way. These dudes are out here in shorts. That's crazy. Best Vanna White pose here. Wasn't recording. Cool. That just makes me want to have toffee.